Welcome back, my fellow duplicants, to Oxygen Not Included. Now, if you watched my video a couple weeks ago on Intro to the Quality of Life Upgrade MK2, I left it off with a little bit of a cliffhanger because we didn't know how much the multi-threading of pathing of your duplicants was going to have as far as frame rates and CPU usage was concerned. So today, I've captured those numbers based on your guys' feedback in the comment section, and then we're going to take a look at just how much that improved on my two biggest bases. All right, so test number one here is my Ultimate Automation Challenge, which is, as you had guessed, many different ults. What Victoria, what are you doing? Why are you trying to mess up my video? Okay, where was I? So my test procedure for this is actually fairly simple. I ran the same cycle in with the same camera position and just let things average out and take the numbers. So in the MK1 upgrade, this base was running a CPU percentage on my rig, which was 15.8%. If we take a look here, as per your recommendation, so that you're looking at the resource monitor, you can see it's averaging right around 20% right there on the CPU. So in my Ultimate Automation Challenge, which is a base that is this big here and has lots of equipment, but only 12 duplicates, I saw an increase on the CPU of 4.2%, but an increase to the frame rate of right around 14 frames. So for me, that's really, really nice. And I love how smooth the game is. I'm getting 26, 28 frames, running on fast speed for a base that's this big, which is very playable. So the real question here is what happens when you take this to the extreme. In this map here, I have 102 duplicates. It was from my triple printer challenge. Added a new duplicate every single cycle. Look at them go. All right, so I'm seeing the CPU right around 20% and the frame rate right around 22. I'm gonna have to stop recording just to see if I get different numbers here. Okay, so this map was actually quite interesting in that the CPU was consuming on average an extra 3%. So these are the average numbers for when the dupes are running around doing stuff. However, I did not see an increase to the frame rate at all. So it was 26 before, it's 26 after. So from here, we can conclude that there was, at least on these bigger maps, anywhere from a 3 to 4-ish% increase on the CPU. And in some maps, we're going to see a nice frame rate bump. This just goes to show while there are definitely some improvements to the game, if you still take it to the extreme here with a ridiculous amount of duplicates or a ton amount of automation and everything else going on, it still seems like you can really turn this game into a slideshow if that's what you're looking to do. Okay, since everybody is going to ask, these are my CPU specs. So this was a workstation slash gaming rig I built a couple of years ago. Therefore, I'm running an i7-5820K. That's a 6-core hyper-threaded CPU. I'm running it at 3.9 gigahertz. Not too uncommon these days to have a 6-core CPU with hyper-threading, but back a couple of years ago, that was kind of weird. So it might be kind of hard to compare this computer to other gaming rigs that are a couple of years old. I'm running 16 gigs of memory. The old GPU that I had in here was a GTX 1060 3 gigabytes. That is now dedicated for recording OBS. And I recently picked up a used GTX 1080 Ti. And by the way, if you shop around on eBay and you really do a good job of looking into it and are very patient, you can pick up a great deal on a secondhand card if you're okay with buying one of those. I mean, this thing pumps the frames. One thing to watch for as far as a mining rig is, are they selling like 7 cards? And are the fans just completely shot? Yeah, and you also got to look at secondhand manufacturer's warranty. That's a thing. Some people offer it. Check into it. So this all brings me to the system specs that were included in this update. You can see that operating system of Windows 7 or above, a processor that's an i5 2 gigahertz dual core or an AMD equivalent. They don't tell you what generation, and generations are very important. 4 gigs of RAM, an Intel, so that's an integrated graphics card. Oh, but there, aha! I see what you did there. Okay, so the Intel HD 4200 is from the Haswell processors. So that's the 4th generation back in 2013. All right, so here's a whole lineup of all the CPUs that it was included in. So that's the 4000 series of cards. I will find what CPU you guys are looking at. Dude, you guys are like targeting a toaster oven. Well, that's a mobile chip. That's just awkward. Can we not do the mobile chip? Okay, so based on this, it's really kind of hard to know what CPU they're targeting, but it seems like any computer that is halfway decent within the last 5 years with an integrated GPU or above. So here's what I can do for you guys to kind of help you understand if this is a game that you want to get into, but you're not sure if your computer can handle it. Here's what you can do. You can purchase it off of Steam, and you have a 2-hour window that you can return the game for any reason. So I'm going to include save files down there below. One of them is going to be right around cycle 200 with about 10 dupes. It's intro to Oxygen not included, and that should be playable on your computer. There's going to be a mid step there that's somewhere along the line of several hundred cycles with a little bit bigger map, and you can see how your computer runs right there. And then the Ultimate Automation Challenge here will be available as you see it currently in this form. And this is a big map, so it should drag down computers to a certain degree. You can see that I'm not really running the game all that great. We're talking about 22 frames per second, and you saw my system specs. And then I'm also going to include the map with 102 duplicates down there as well, which should stress most computers. So that's about the best I can do for you guys there. Hopefully that helps you determine if this is the game for you or not. And on one final note here, unfortunately, it doesn't look like there are any plans to take this to a console or mobile at this time. Bummer. I can see it from a user interface situation why you wouldn't necessarily have controller support. I mean, there's a ton of tabs here. However, here's my counter argument to this one. Xbox One, as of November, supports keyboard and mouse. If you want to enable it in your game, Xbox, please. Okay, so the other major-ish updates that were not discussed in the previous video, the big ones here are that plastic ladders can now be placed over normal ladders, and they will be deconstructed and rebuilt. Yes! Thank you so much for that. Awesome to see that happen. The one thing that's probably going to affect a good amount of ranches is the changes that have happened to pneumatic doors, mechanical doors, and mechanized airlocks. And that is that hatches do not fall through vertical doors anymore. They used to only fall through vertical doors and not horizontals. Now they simply do not fall through any door. You can also see that there's some additional art behind that. As far as an egg is concerned, an egg will fall through a mechanical or a mechanized airlock if it is opened. If it is a pneumatic door, if it's vertical or horizontal, that egg will fall through from the very beginning. It won't sit on it at all. So that is a big change, and you can see how that is completely, it destroys my ability to automate this here, unfortunately. So just when you thought you had something clever, an update destroys it all. The last thing here is somebody went into the code and actually was able to get out all of the different options that we might have available when materials show up inside of the printing pod. Unfortunately, I don't know who you are because I lost you in the sea of comments. Unfortunately, sorry. But thank you so much for your hard work, and it's absolutely awesome. You can see this. This will be linked down there in the description below as well. And you can see just all of the different materials that are available there and the quantities that could potentially show up. You also have different seeds as well. So wheezeworts, bristle blossoms, fungal, joya, mirth, barrier as well. And there are some cycles that actually becomes available on. Interesting. So that's pretty cool. Food, you can get different types of food down there, so that's good. You can also see babies and eggs, and you can see that you could potentially get a vole or a slickster as early as cycle 12 or 24 as far as an egg, but they can actually become a full-grown baby at as early as cycle 48. So you might be able to start ranching those earlier on in the game than you'd be able to dig to them. Interesting. So there you have it, the quality of life upgrade MK2. And in my situation, it seems like it brings a good amount of performance increase to my existing map, which I really like. And I think that's nice, especially considering just how big and crazy this game can get. Which makes me think I should probably start a new big and crazy map or challenge. At any rate, that's all I have time for today. If this looks like the channel for you, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button. Once again, thank you to all my Patreon supporters. You guys are absolutely awesome. Have a great day. Stay awesome. Peace. Brothgar out.